Alrighty, so I was on the live stream last night messing around with the new summer Margaret, and people were telling me that if you do not have Freyja, you could use red Sariel. So we're going to be trying that today. I don't think we're going to go for a full 3-turn clear, but if we can just beat floors 1 and 2, I think that could be just a really nice sort of like in between where you could maybe use this for a while to at least start building up holy relic materials and everything, so that way you could work towards getting Freyja's relic. Because you're either using this because you don't have Freyja, which is unfortunate. Hopefully you guys can pull her sometime in the future. Hopefully they'll start putting her on more banners, or you have Freyja, but you don't have the Holy Relic because you're not able to beat Nidhogg enough right now. So, if you already have Freyja, but obviously if you don't have her Holy Relic, she's not counted as a goddess race, which means she won't slot into this team very nicely. You can maybe use Red Sariel for now. We're going to try it out. This is just what I've been told, so I don't have a whole lot of expectations. I don't really like Red Sariel nowadays, but it is what it is. We're using the Dogs card set because it helps with having a full race team, which we have. I have attack crit on Mael and Sariel, and then I was told to let Liz tank. I've given her my Tarmiel's triple defense gear, but it obviously gets messed up a little bit because of the rune that I have. It's actually an attack piece with full recovery rate rolls. So I'm not 100% sure how that's going to go. We also need to go ahead and give her Tarmiel Link before I forget. But this should hopefully do some decent stuff. This is very budget. I went ahead and put Margaret on HP defense. I used her last night with attack crit damage just because I wanted her to be able to do as much damage as possible, and she wasn't going to be the one tanking most of the hits anyway, so I figured that it would be okay to just have her on an attack set, so that way we could try to push for just more damage when we do use her cards. Obviously, she has a stance cancel card that isn't going to do the greatest damage, and her ultimate can hit pretty hard, but at lower ult levels it's not going to be anything, over the top wacky crazy. So we're just in hopes here that we can at least beat floors 1 and 2, and then we will see how that goes. So, obviously, if you don't know, floor 1, pretty standard stuff. You don't really have to worry about too much here at the very beginning. I think, ideally, if we can maybe try to crit as much with Sariel as possible. That way we can potentially stack up his Holy Relic, because every time you crit with him, it increases Goddess rank or Goddess race allies. I want to say it's just basic stats. I'm not 100% sure on that, but because it's a Deer Relic, it's not really hard to get. We unfortunately don't have as much damage as we would if we were using the the Freyja here, but that's okay. It's not that big of a deal. Hopefully, as we can sort of build up our passives. Ooh, she's actually tanking pretty well. That's actually kind of nice. Normally, I mean, that single target after you have some debuffs on does a lot of damage. So we should be able to kill this turn anyway, so we're going to go ahead and cleanse so that way we don't go into turn 2 with a whole bunch of just crap on us. And then I think we can maybe merge this, use the level 1 to kill, and then get close to Mael's ultimate here. I actually probably should have went ahead and pushed for Liz's ultimate instead, so that way I can use it to heal and ult rush at the same time. But if you don't know, in the second phase, you kind of need to use stance cancels so that way you can start doing more damage. So I think the way we're going to play this is using the Margaret stance cancel to get rid of one of these stacks. Mael's ultimate does have remove stances, so we're going to use that as well. And then we actually already have a level 3 card just off of pure card draw there. We could even use this to remove stances, but we're going to not do that. We're just going to rely on extra damage, and then we are going to because that's removing 2 stances, he'll be down 2 stacks, he'll start taking more damage. We can try to crit with this, and then maybe use this to push some damage through the phase. And then we should be in a pretty decent position, I would say. The fact that we've already gotten a level 3 card is really good, because we can basically use that to remove the entire immortality gauge on phase 3. Because if you don't know, the higher the card tier, the more percentage you're going to take off of his gauge that'll show up over here. So we'll see how that goes. Getting more Sariel cards is not necessarily great, but it is what it is. Dude, honestly, Liz tanking very well, I've got to say. I'm actually kind of impressed. Let's go for... I think I'm going to save that cleanse, I guess. I mean, not that I really need to, but we can use this to push ultimates. I'm going to move this, maybe? Or should I just triple attack? Well, we can use this to get our ultimate, and then maybe just double attack with Sariel here, so that way we get Sariel's ultimate, and we get the Margaret ultimate as well to maybe push for some more damage. Luckily, that's a one-turn extort, so it's nothing crazy. We have 2 ultimates. This is actually going to be an AoE disable, which is not great. But I think this will still end up cleansing it, if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to try that, maybe heal up a little bit, and then I really need to push phase here, so we're going to double ult to try to take the rest of his gauge down. So does this cleanse? It does not. I think actually if we would have went for... Let's reset on that. We can use the level 2 heal card to cleanse instead. Alrighty, we are back in. If you're unaware, by the way, of that, if you end up making a big mistake and it's still on your turn, it doesn't swap over to the enemy's turn, you can close out of the game, whether that be closing the app on mobile or just, Alt F4ing on the PC version, and you should still actually be able to basically log back in, and it'll put you back at the beginning of your turn so you can do whatever you need to do there. So that worked out kind of nice. We go ahead and cleanse off. This should still end up being enough damage here. I have a 2/6 on Margaret. Sariel's really old, so I have him 6/6. I would imagine if you've played the game for any decent amount of time, you've probably pulled him a little bit. He's not on maybe as many banners as he used to be, but he's still pretty relevant. So at this point, we can use this to take off the rest of the whole immortality gauge. You'll see that work. I don't think Sariel's going to do too much damage here. So let's go for that, and then we'll get Mael's ultimate so that way we can push for game. So okay damage at best, but it does take out the entire gauge there, so that's really nice. A little bit of damage there on the Sariel, so nothing crazy. The idea behind this phase is you need to make sure you don't get him below 30% HP, which is 3 notches. If you do, he will gain 2 really big attack-related stat buffs, and that is not what you want to have to deal with. So, we have really good cleanses, actually, and he does have a damage cap on this phase. I think what we're going to do is this, and then maybe even throw that out as well. I'm worried about the Mael card doing a lot of damage, but if there's damage cap, it shouldn't be the biggest deal in the world. These two, like the Sariel card and the Liz card, shouldn't deal too much, so we can kind of just whittle down some of the HP here. Yeah, not too much there, and then he does not. Because we're not below the 30% mark, we're pretty much good. And then now we can just use the heal card to make sure we're all topped off before pushing the floor. And then we can just go ahead and kill with the ultimate and then some extra cards here. I do have Mael at 4/6, so know that I'm not putting gray debuffs on, which is kind of helpful for like lower ult level players. His ultimate still does a really, really good amount of damage, so you should be okay for the most part. Just know that if you have it at 5/6 or 6/6, he actually applies gray sunspot debuffs, which will make it to where the enemy doesn't deal as much damage to you. So if you have it high leveled, you can sort of cheese the fight a little bit and spam the ultimate as much as possible, and he'll not do nearly as much damage as he normally would. So floor 1 looking really easy, really good. I think that floor 1 is pretty easy at this point after doing it so much, but I know that a lot of you guys probably aren't as familiar with Nidhogg, but let's hop into floor 2 and see how it goes. Alrighty, so here we are. If you're unaware how this floor works, phase 1, he has a blue immortality buff, so you have to be very careful about that. You cannot remove it unless you're going to push phase. You have to kill in the turn, or with the same attack that you're going to remove the buff with. If you do not do that, he will gain a ton of buffs and absolutely run over you. He will be basically unkillable and will deal way too much damage. So we're going to basically do the same thing that we've been doing, I think, and just spam some cards here. Maybe move this to get a little bit closer to Liz's ultimate, and then we will just try to get some damage off. If you can get some decent damage off in the first 2 turns, it will be very beneficial, because I think on his second turn, so this is his first turn, on his second turn he will actually use a blue buff that will give him adaptation, or adaptation, I think is the buff name. It's the one that Spring Blue Elaine has, where basically it kind of gives him like a Tarmiel link in a way, where every time you deal damage to him, he gains a percentage of HP back. So you got to be a little bit careful with that. Luckily, we're in, I would say, a really good position here. Let's go for something like this. That is going to cleanse us off, pretty much heal us up to full. These should be more than enough to get him down as low as possible, and then we're going to use this to go ahead and kill. Because he's not got the adaptation buff on, we should pretty much get him to absolute 0% HP here, I think. He might actually have a damage cap on 304, but these two cards should hopefully be enough. Yeah, 304 is his damage cap. If he does have the adaptation buff on, know that he will still end up like getting back maybe like 4 to 5% HP. So, you know, be a little bit careful. You need to make sure that you either get him as low as possible and then hope that a level 1 will kill, or if you can get a level 2 just to secure a little bit more damage, that would be great too. I don't have Mael's ultimate yet, so I really need to push for that. Just know that in this phase, whenever you use your stance cancel cards, like you would normally to get rid of these buffs up here, it's actually going to give you a 1-turn infect. So I might go ahead and just use this heal since we're going to draw our ultimate next turn. We'll go ahead and get rid of this to take 1 stack off. And then I think I'm going to just move these to get Mael's ultimate, so that way we can get another stance cancel guaranteed next turn. So this is going to take off 1 stack. It is going to put 1 red infect on our entire team, but because it's only a 1 turn, it just goes ahead and gets rid of itself, because it doesn't matter if it's on for his turn or not. Taking a little bit of damage here. He does seal ultimates, which is a bit unfortunate. Luckily, we do have a cleanse already in hand, so we can just maybe use that and then ult. And then, actually, I would really like to... This is going to heal us anyway, and we're pretty much already at full health, so I'm not worried about this healing. I'm just going to use it as an ultimate move gauge sort of gain. So we're going to use that first, and then use the Liz ult second, so that way Mael still gets some ultimate move gauge after he uses his ult. And then I think we'll go ahead and attack and get rid of this Sariel card, so that way we can pull his ult next turn as well, since we're gaining 2 orbs from the Liz ultimate there. So, honestly, I know that this fight can be really troublesome. A lot of the fight is just going to be learning, you know, the best ways to utilize your characters and their passives and stuff like that, making sure you're stacking as much as you can on Holy Relic stacks and passive stacks and stuff like that, because all of these Archangels are basically just going to feed each other buffs, which is really, really great. So using that to your advantage as much as possible is ideal. Completely forgot about the fact that he's going to put up a stance on his turn 3. Really good for me. I actually was able to pull a stance cancel card here from Margaret, so that's really nice. I didn't actually get my ultimates like I thought. I'm not 100% sure why that was. Maybe, I think, does the ultimate have to heal to gain orbs? I think it might, but I don't think so. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on that. So we're in not a great position because this ultimate is going to be really annoying. It's an extort, I think. No, okay, so it's a pierce on this phase. I think it's an extort on floor 3. So actually, it might not be too bad, but we're just going to go ahead and heal any missing HP we have. We're going to remove that stance so we can start attacking into him. And then I think what we're going to do here is use this level 2 and maybe even throw out one of these as well. You do need to keep some halfway decent attack cards for the last phase, because in the last phase you're going to need to try to keep him below 50% HP as much as possible, so that way you can actually remove his immortality gauge. So do be a little bit cautious with that one. Getting a little bit of crits there, which is nice. We should hopefully... not great cards. Maybe we can push for some ultimates or something like that to go into the next phase with, but the the card draw with this team is not as good. Like, obviously, Freyja is a big damage contributor to the team, so having Sariel instead is not as good, of course. So let's cleanse off with those. We will go ahead and maybe use this, and then I'm going to go ahead and just use both of these cards to draw Mael's ultimate out, so that way, just in case we don't kill, he's putting a stance up at the end of this turn. We'll have his ultimate for stance cancel if we need it. I'm imagining we still kill here, though. Yeah, I think that's more than enough damage to kill. If we could pull any additional Mael cards, that would be great, because he's obviously going to be the biggest guy doing the most damage here. But we just need to keep him below 50% HP, so that way he can actually lose his gauge. If he's above 50%, he does not lose any gauge at all, but it's basically just like a 3-turn stall on this turn, or on this phase. So do note, another thing to worry about is he's going to put a lot of these corrosion buffs or stacks on. This one can be a little bit tricky if you don't draw the cleanses that you need, or just the heal cards to just keep drawing, or just keep your health topped off. That can be a really big issue. So I think what we're going to do here is we're going to keep this buff removal card, because these stacks sometimes, he gets one at the beginning of every single one of his phases, if I'm not mistaken, or it might be at the beginning of every one of mine. Either way, he gets one per turn, and that can be a real nuisance, because once they stack up a lot, I think it's like a 30% damage reduction. Yeah, it is. So it's quite hefty. So we're going to go ahead and use this ult. I think we'll go ahead and use this ult as well. Use this, and then we'll see how that does us. Okay, really good damage there. This is a 2/6 ult on HP defense, still doing about 300k. He is below 50%, so that's great, but he does have a lot of passive regen, and I think his just overall, whatchamacallit, his like lifesteal stat is pretty decent as well, so you're going to see he's going to gain a pretty decent amount of health back from each of these hits. We did pull a cleanse, which is really, really good. We really needed that. I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is merge this to go for her ultimate, and at level 2 this is going to cleanse, so that works out really nice for me. I'm going to go ahead and Sariel ult on top of Mael card, so that way I can get him down lower, so I don't have to worry about it as much next turn. He does have 2 stacks on now, so we're going to be doing even less damage. Luckily, 6/6, that's doing a little above 500k. Yeah, you can see if I don't crit here, this is starting to do a lot less damage. He gains another one of these stacks, so he's getting more HP back. It's going to start stacking up and being really annoying, but just, you know, keep with it. You'll be all right, hopefully. A little bit of, I think this is like probably the most like RNG heavy phase from my experience. This one can be like really make or break sometimes. So I think what we're gonna go ahead and do is, I think I'm gonna cleanse with this and heal. Let's go ahead and remove his buffs. He is ulting this turn, which can be a real problem. It does apply explode. Maybe I think I'm going to save my cleanse then for after that, so I can make sure that I can get rid of it. We're going to use the ult to heal up instead. We're still going to end up taking some damage from the corrosion stacks, but there's not a whole lot we can do about it. We're going to remove the buff. We're going to, I think, use one Mael card, and we'll go ahead and get rid of this Sariel card. I don't want, like, we're still at a really good spot on damage, like his HP bar, so I don't want to overcommit and try to like waste too many cards here, because once he, you know, once he drops his bar all the way down, he removes immortality, and we need to kill him ASAP. So hopefully we'll be good here. No cleanse card, which is a bit of a miss. We're taking a decent amount of damage. Hopefully this this cleanse that we have and a heal will be enough to get us a pretty decent portion of HP back. Oh no, but it D-ranks us. Okay, so that is very troublesome. Luckily, I think we're just going to try to focus on a floor 2 clear here. So let's go ahead and heal. I mean, I guess because we're only going for floor 2 clear, you would normally just want to push pure damage here, but we're going to go ahead and try to remove that stack off and heal anyway, just in case we don't kill, and then we're going to go double Mael card. We'll be able to pull his ultimate next turn anyway. If we do kill here, our HP is not going to be at the greatest position ever because of the fact that we've just taken so much damage. We do not kill, actually, this turn, so that's a little bit unfortunate. Oh, the explode is so crazy. The fact that he D-ranked my card there was really bad. Elizabeth is dead. I don't know if Mael is going to tank this entire phase, especially like losing our buffs and everything like that, so I think we have wiped, unfortunately. Let me, I guess, be right back. We'll try one more time. Alrighty, so I've gotten pretty decently good luck with pulling these cleanses, so I'm going to go ahead and I still have a little bit of bar left. I'm going to go ahead and maybe... I guess I'm going to go ahead and cleanse. Well, I guess I should technically cleanse afterwards. Well, it'll give me... because I don't think I have her passive maxed out yet. Yeah, I don't have it nearly as maxed out. So I'm going to cleanse first just for some extra attack-related stats. We're going to ult, and then... I might even pop a heal here. I'm not 100% sure what my best strat is. I think actually I'm just going to go ahead and try to get rid of these cards, because we should end up getting below 50% here. I can remove ult next turn, or remove the buffs next turn. Ooh, we didn't heal quite as much as I was hoping for, but it does give us a little bit of damage reduction. I have another cleanse in hand, which is good, because he's going to ult me this turn and put that really annoying explosion effect on. So here's hoping it doesn't do like too much damage. So looking okay. We pull some extra Mael cards, which is really nice. Actually not looking too bad here. So let's go for the cleanse. I'm gonna maybe remove the buffs that he has on. I'm going to go ahead and ult. And then I really want to get Liz's ultimate as well, but there's not really a way for me to do that right this moment. So I think I'm going to throw out this to just get some more damage out. I don't think that's going to be enough to kill, of course, but it'll put us in a decent position to where we can hopefully kill next turn and still be pretty good HP. So not bad damage at all there. Mael doing some really good damage there. I might have been able to go for the kill there, but I'm pretty positive we can go for the kill on this turn here. So unfortunately, not ideal scenario. I don't have another cleanse. If I had like either a level 2 on this, which it could get deranked, or just a cleanse from Margaret, I could have potentially tried to heal up as much as humanly possible before pushing phase here, but I don't really have the luxury of doing that this time, so we're just going to go for maybe double AoE into a single target here. Should be enough to kill. These two are obviously lacking on some HP here, but like I said, we're just kind of focusing on trying to get at least a 2-floor clear. I'm not as worried about floor 3 right now, especially with this being sort of like an imperfect team. It's still pretty good, and I highly recommend that you try to start learning the fight and everything if you end up pulling Margaret, so that way, like, as you pull Freyja and start working on, you know, beating this a little bit more frequently, at least like beating floors 1 and 2 each week should net you a pretty decent amount of materials, to where you should be able to hopefully make Freyja's relic ASAP when you like either pull her, or if you already do have her, you'll be pretty much good to go at that point. So that's pretty much all I've got for you today. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on the team. Obviously, take some of this with a grain of salt. I do have 13 million box CC, which gives me quite a few extra, you know, stats and buffs and stuff like that. Just make sure that you're working on your team's gear and everything. I did use, like I said, full defense gear, except for that one piece on Liz. She was surprisingly very good at tanking, so I would definitely recommend doing that. Yeah, overall, Margaret, very, very nice. If you don't have Mael, I don't really think this team is going to work as well, like, because you can throw Tarmiel in place of Mael, but the damage on this team is going to be so low at that point because you're not using Freyja, you're not using Mael for damage. It's going to be really hard to make up the damage that you need there unless you're just like ult rushing every single turn, which is probably not feasible. Like, it's probably not doable. So that's it from me. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what your thoughts and opinions of it are. If you have any sort of like, you know, other strats that you might be able to do, or other teams or something like that, leave them down in the comments below. Somebody can probably help or get some help out of those and use them. So that is it from me. So I will see you guys later on.